Alright, Spey rods. If you're new to them, they're really awkward if you're a single-handed caster especially. If you've never fly fished before, they're not as awkward. What I see most single-handed casters doing, they grab the rod right above the reel and then everything is top hand. They're trying to just basically power the cast with their top hand like they do with a single-handed rod. Well, with getting your other hand involved, what that allows you to do is basically pivot the rod. So really you only need a couple fingers for each cast. You don't need a strong grip and you don't need to really muscle it a whole bunch because you're pivoting everything. So if you picture your reel or right above your reel, that's where everything pivots around, and you have a 12, 14, 15 foot rod pivoting off of that point, your rod tip is sweeping way more than you probably need it to make this cast. So what I like to tell new Spey casters to do is basically take the butt of the rod, either you can grab it, that's usually too much muscle, but I grab the very end, I rest the butt on my middle finger, grab here, rest the butt on my ring finger, so I go 2 to 3 fingers on the rod depending on how hard I'm going to cast or what line I'm casting. And then my upper hand, one thing I've always liked to do or learned to do is I like to have my fingers on the blank. Because when you're new to Spey casting, it's really hard to feel the rod load through the cork here. So if you have your fingers up on the blank, you can actually feel what the rod's doing. And it might take a year, it might take a couple days, might take an hour. Just depends on what type of caster, what setup you have. So I'm a lefty, just makes these videos even harder. Put my left hand on top, my 2 fingers are on the blank here, my hand's down below, and I'm doing, everything's a pivot. I do very little body movement because you don't really have to. And one of the nice things about Spey casting is it takes less effort than single-handed casting if you do it right. A lot of times when you see new Spey casters or people just getting into it, they're doing a whole lot of body movement, and they're either doing that for 1 or 2 reasons. They're compensating for their lack of pivoting, or they're trying to bomb a really, really far cast and cover a bunch of water. So if you want to be efficient, you're going to pivot everything around your reel or right above your reel. So I'm just going to do an example of a snap tee. So everything's here, done with my swing, grab the butt of the rod here, everything's just a pivot, very little body movement, pivot the rod around, up over the top.